Hey there, folks. I'm going to take the intro today, and I'm just going to go right to a question. Nava, Sophie, we've now plumbed each other's lives a bit in I could have found a better way to say that, but we'll keep it. In our host episodes, where we kind of ask each other questions. But what I don't think I know, what do you think your favorite movie was in middle school?
One of my favorite movies, I don't know exactly if this was middle school or late elementary, but that movie, My Girl, the movie where the kid dies at the very beginning.
Yeah, the
I
kid?
loved
You mean
that.
Macaulay Culkin?
Yeah. Oh, and then recently I've been watching Succession and watching Kieran Culkin. And so
Does he die at the end?
We don't know yet. TBD.
Oh, is that possible? Is it even possible? Wow.
It's possible.
I mean,
but
it's
the
he
series
gets
isn't
stung
over.
He gets stung by a bunch of bees.
Hive of bees. No, but definitely My Girl. I loved that movie.
Oh, so did I. It was such a tragic death, too.
So good. I have so many. It sort of depends on seventh grade has one, eighth grade has one. Probably the real answer is Jurassic Park, but I feel like that's boring, so I wanted to hear a different one. But the real answer is Jurassic Park, and I think I loved it because I loved the dynamic between
the dinosaurs.
the adults and the kids. Like the kids who were trapped in the car with Sam.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember that.
No. Yeah,
I
I'm with you.
loved that.
I'm
And
with
I
you.
miss that in movies, like having adults and kids. I feel like now kids and adults, the kids are always really rude and bratty. I don't like it. But growing up, there were better dynamics with adults and kids. And I ate that up as a little kid. But I also really loved the Mighty Ducks series. And I loved Mike Vitar. He was also in The Sandlot. Loved him.
Yeah.
Nava, I feel like that's such a middle school. The way you went into that answer was so middle school. Like, this is my real answer, but it's not cool enough, so I'll give you another
It's not
answer.
special enough. Yeah. No, but Jurassic Park was definitely my favorite movie growing up.
Yeah, you and
How about you, Penn?
countless others. I think I'm feeling now like I'm older than you guys because those movies I liked when I was younger. Like My Girl and Jurassic Park and Mighty Ducks were all thoroughly iconic for me at different places, but not by middle school. Like if I was 12, 13, to be honest, it's still the same movie. Now, did I openly love it and talk about it? No, but if I go back and think about like a movie that I would have appreciated at any time coming on, it's so not like my sensibility, is Titanic. It still is. It really is like. And I don't think I realized it at the time. I think I saw it twice. By the way, everybody was seeing that movie like 5 and 6 and 7 times. I went twice.
You're still cool, Penn.
But now, I'm just like, no, that movie definitely more than any I can think of. If I was to watch it now, I would just unabashedly enjoy it. I can't recall a movie that I loved then. I think I was about to love Fight Club. I remember when it came out, but I didn't see it in theaters. I saw it on DVD, and then I loved it. I was a bit older then, 14, 15.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
In Fight Club was
Titanic.
amazing. He was just like...
That was Edward Norton's third personality.
Yeah, don't spoil it.
We're going to have to put spoiler on the thumbnail
Spoiler
of this
alert.
video.
Tyler Durden is 2 people. Tyler Durden is a name that I've referenced in life so much more than I feel good about. And also, his name is Robert Paulson. I think that's what they say when Meatloaf dies. The chanting. You guys don't. There's no way you know Fight Club as well as I do. You're probably like,
I've never seen it.
What?
Yeah, so you did spoil it for me, actually.
Oh.
You had never come out? It's like the first movie that did that.
I just never seen it.
Wow.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That would have been a
It's
great
okay.
time for you. A nice ride that we
Yeah.
just ruined. It's at the end of Titanic. It sinks.
Goes down.
I know. The crazy thing is they called it the Unsinkable, and then.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to our guest. Today we have a nice treat. Her name is Tilly Keeper. Best known for playing Louise in EastEnders, which, if you're not British, you're not aware, it's an iconic British soap, I think. And recently, I think what you'll know her from is playing Lady Phoebe on season 4 of my show, You, where I think she may become quite iconic herself. We had a lot of fun in this episode. You're going to love her. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome to Podcrushed. We're your hosts. I'm Penn.
I'm Nava.
And I'm Sophie. And I think we would have been your middle school besties.
Oh my gosh, we would have so much fun every time Penn let us out of the glass cage.
Y'all's parents at that age shouldn't have been letting you watch this show. Tilly, my first
Hello.
and my hardest hitting question. Are you aware that I owe you $90?
Oh.
Do you recall this? And do you know what for? Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm not holding it against you.
Yeah. Well, you could. You could.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some interest accrued. I want to get your Venmo today after the interview. I mean, you remember,
Yeah,
right?
no, it's true. It's
Yeah.
true. Penn
Yeah.
is in debt to me.
Yeah.
For what?
In many ways. So it was the rap party. It was the rap party for the season. And we went to, I think, many different places, or at least, I don't know. So we ended up at this club where everybody was being, first of all, it was very difficult to get in. And then I did something which I never do, which is like, I don't know, do you know who I am? Do I get people in? But it still cost 10 pounds per person. And so then I was like, everybody was filing in. I'm like, yeah, I'll get them. Yeah, let's just do that. Yeah. And so like
Being
9
really
people went
flash.
by, and then I tried to use my credit card, and it was declined. And I'm like,
no.
what do I do? Is it because I just picked up a big tab at the it was like, by the way, picking up tabs everywhere I go. But I was like, oh, this is an awkward spot. And then I look around, I'm like, who's the most likely to have 90 and then be okay
Lady
with it? And I was like, Tilly.
I would
Tilly.
roll over and just go, sure. I also really loved that Penn's card got declined.
I know,
and
right?
I helped him out of the
Yeah.
bind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a story that
That's
you can have
bragging
forever.
rights for life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then unfortunately, I really held it. I was going to everyone like, I got you in, guys. I got you in. drinks to me. I'm sitting over there. Just give me the drinks.
But they also charge people to get in. That
was mad.
Is that uniquely British, or is that just because they could? And
I think we're just quite tight as a nation, to be honest. So we're just looking to charge people. I'm kidding.
well, I mean, I don't know that it's that much of a joke.
And I'm sure that money went straight to the government.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah, totally. We have really helped. That money went straight to the arts fund. Ha ha. But it was also, no disrespect to this place, it's not their fault, but it was like the worst place we could have gone.
I kind of
for a rap
agree.
party.
Yeah. When we got in, I was like, Tilly paid $90 for this? Can you imagine?
Exactly
I
my
was about to pay
reaction.
$90 pounds, which is like what, $112,
thing.
something like that? $130,
They-
maybe?
You arrived and we had security because we were out in Shoreditch and you need security in Shoreditch. And everyone, it was like, as soon as Penn got out the car, everyone was
I know it was
That's
really. Yeah, I
Penn's.
know it was very. And I don't go places with security. I just want to be clear here. That was super awkward for me because then I was like, because then there were people who were part of our crew trying to get in, but then security was trying to usher me past them. I'm like, no, we got to make sure they get in, and they're like, we're gonna do, and man, the
It was a lot.
dynamics, the dynamics.
It was a lot happened in about 3 minutes, just
Yeah.
even getting out the car, trying to get in. So that was faff enough. So I think it was just then as soon as we got in and they were like, oh, it's the cast of you, £10 each, please. It was just, the whole
Yeah.
thing was like mortifying anyway. So
Yeah.
it was just like, oh, just take my money. But it's also one of those
Funny.
places where, bless them, but the floor is so sticky that when you walk, it's a bit
Well,
like
I think let's stop
walking on
blessing them.
sellotape.
Let's just stop blessing them.
Okay.
Okay, let's stop with all of this faff, as you say. Tilly, I want to get to the hard-hitting questions. So just let's go. 13 years old. You know what this show's about. Our listeners know what this
Yeah.
show's about. We're gonna go everywhere, but let's start here. What were you like? 13.
I don't know who I was in school. The way I look back, I think is very different to what people thought of me. I actually saw a friend from school the other day and I said, what was I like around that age? And she said, I don't know, you were just, Tilly, I wasn't part of a group, which is actually something that I kind of am so aware of even at 25 now, that I did find it quite hard to fit in. I hate this phrase. I would think I was a bit of a floater. Ugh, I hate that phrase. But I think I just am interested in people. I don't think I was a popular girl, but I think I was happy to be in any social situation with any people. And perhaps that could be viewed as popular because a lot of people knew me. But I definitely wasn't the cool girl. Oh my goodness, was I not. I liked musical theatre and I was in love with One Direction. That doesn't necessarily equate to being the coolest girl in school.
Well, why not though? Because I mean, Harry Styles was in One Direction, right?
Yeah, he was.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and now he's more or less the coolest icon we have.
But it's not the same. One Direction and Harry Styles.
One Direction, great. One of the most successful boy bands in the world. My love for them, not healthy. So I think it wasn't so much what One Direction stood for. It was more the way I adored them. Was just, I think if any of the cool girls were like, maybe Tilly can sit with us, then I'd be like, I love Harry Styles. And they'd be like, don't want that energy around us.
Tilly, the odds are that at least some of them are watching you. So they know who you are.
Hopefully. Yeah. Get those viewers in.
Okay, well, can you tell us an embarrassing story from middle school? Do you have any off the top of your head?
Oh gosh, so many. I actually was thinking about what I was, middle school age, and I was like, can't remember a lot of it, which probably meant that a lot of embarrassing stuff happened and I blocked it out. But I think the thing that comes to mind is we were doing a school play, and I was always in the school plays, obviously. But I didn't used to like doing them because none of my friends would come to see them because no one liked our school plays. I don't know why. And it wasn't just because, it was me being like, I'm the lead.
However, I suppose it is part of it.
Yeah, definitely contributes.
It's at least, you can't say it's not part. Anyway, sorry, I'm sorry. Continue.
Yeah. No, it's fine. We're just speaking the truth here, Penn. And this one year we used to have school play and a dance production. And I loved doing the dance production because it was the older girls choreographed all the dances and everyone got involved because it was like the cool thing to do. And it was just loads of fun. And the school play, not so much. But this one year they decided to combine the two, and it was We Will Rock You, the musical. Not my favourite musical.
What is that? Is that Queen? I mean, like, what's
Queen,
but what is the whole thing Queen?
Oh, you want me? Yeah. So it's a jukebox musical of Queen's music.
Okay.
Don't ask me the plot. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, you don't need
I'll
one.
go into it.
You don't need one.
So, yeah, I was the lead, and I just got a real bee in my bonnet about this play, and I was like, I don't want to do it. And my mum said, you have to, because if you're spending all this time and energy and money into classes outside of school, the last thing you can do is be in the school play. Hello. So I got the female lead, and I just didn't want to do it. I didn't want to go to the rehearsals, and I was making quite a fuss about it and not having a great attitude, which is quite unlike me because I'm quite keen to do anything else. And then the first opening night, it was a thing because it was the dance productions. Then everyone came to see it because all the cool girls were in it. So like boys were coming to see it, which was just such a novelty for me at 14 because we didn't interact with boys on a daily basis, so they were like unicorns to us. And I was thinking, great, everyone's got to see me in this blooming school play I don't want to be in, and I've got to sing all the harmonies because no one else can sing the harmonies. And I
sound like Penn.
Remember going to school and being like, I don't feel great because I had to sing very high and very low because like I had a quite decent range and everything. And I remember I was thinking, I don't feel great. And then I got on stage and my first song was Somebody to Love. And it has a big la at the start. And I opened my voice and it went, ah. And everyone went silent. And I couldn't finish the song. And I just remember it was more of a thing of pride. Like I had been such a cow about this school play, how I didn't want to do it, how I was like, and I have to sing all the songs because no one else can sing them. And I get on stage and I sound not even like a dying cat. Like someone had
taken your voice.
Strangled a cat, taken my voice, like Ursula from The Little Mermaid had come out of the water, swum to shore, found me and ripped my vocal cords out of my throat.
Wow.
And it was just absolutely mortifying. And I was just, I don't think I froze, but I think, because I'm always, the show must go on, but I was a bit like, this is the worst thing that could possibly happen. This is karma because I've been such a bitch.
I was going to say, it's your religious upbringing. This is karma.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh, and it was just, I had to finish the show and all these people, I just remember, and I don't think anyone was mean about it. I think everyone knew I had a sore throat and I think I had tonsillitis. I definitely damaged something. And it was just absolutely mortifying. And it was that awful thing of my mum and dad trying to and Kate me afterwards and be like, darling, it was fine. It was, you tried your best. It's like, but it wasn't my best.
Even worse. Yeah.
So wait,
Even worse.
Were you able to, so basically the whole play, you were sort of eking it out. Is that, were you able to?
Honestly,
like that?
I couldn't, it was painful.
Wow.
So as well, it was a lot of pausing to go,
oof. That's
really
pretty
rough.
miserable. How long was that play?
I think we did it for 3 nights.
Oh, to be honest, that sounds excruciating because it wasn't a moment. It was like you had to keep at it.
Yeah, I couldn't escape.
Yeah.
I was on stage for 90 minutes.
That is brutal.
And it was just mortifying because it was, oh God, I've done it. This has happened in front of all these people. I can't run away because that would look even worse. And now it's that thing of, and everyone knows that I was in such a bad mood over this play. And now everyone's like, and for what? She wasn't even that good. It's like, no, it wasn't my fault. So I was just, I don't think, I came into school the next morning and my drama teacher saw me and said, go home and rest your voice, which is great because I got a day off school. But it was also that thing of, thank God, because I can't show my face in chemistry. I just couldn't possibly face anyone today.
I'm honestly so impressed by that story. Like the fact that you stuck with acting. That feels, especially at that age, it feels like quite a traumatic event. And to stick with acting, I think says something about how you were meant to do it. And,
Oh, thanks. That's a nice way to think about it. You framed it differently for me now. Yeah, I guess so. But the thing was, I've never had fear about going out on stage or, I actually don't like public speaking that much, but, singing in front of people and dancing, I feel very comfortable, but it was more my pride. And so I think it was almost like a lesson learned of, I can't believe I'm framing a school play like this, but be professional. Don't complain, because then no one has anything to say about you. So if you do, not have a great performance or you don't have a great take or whatever, then everyone's going to be on your side and not so much sitting back and just waiting for you to
Always be prepared for public failure, I think is my mantra. Always keep that the other shoe is gonna drop.
Yeah. I wake up every morning with that same thought.
That's a great way to go through the day.
Yeah.
Just doom.
Right after that meditation.
She's like, doom.
The birds are singing. I wake up. Birds help me get dressed, and I go, another day to embarrass myself.
Were you ever pursuing? Because I guess we've done our little bits of reading here. Did you want to be a quote unquote pop star? This is something that has been written about me as well, and the reality is different. So I'm just curious, like, where does that come from?
I think I did want to be a pop star in a kind of unserious way.
Yeah.
I grew up. Music is such a big part of my upbringing, and it's something that my mum and dad, brought them together, and it's something we all bond over. I loved Britney Spears growing up, and so I wanted to be Britney Spears. And I think because she danced, the only way my mum could get me to do anything was Britney Spears does ballet. Britney Spears drinks lots of water. And so
She was your god.
She was my god, quite literally. Yeah, my religion was Britney Spears.
Yeah.
And I think, it was just, and so in turn, by following Britney Spears' footsteps, quite literally, and doing ballet and all stuff like that, that's how I kind of fell into performing and acting. I would love to have been a pop star. Not so much now, because the idea of having to write about, I know you don't have to, but having to write a song about personal experiences, and then, I don't know. It's an amazing craft, and I really admire, I love music, but I'd be a rubbish pop star. Who wants to buy an album about someone not going out and just staying and watching Bake
I do.
Off?
You're writing an album for me. But Tilly, I want to know if you had gone down that path as a tween, what would your title track on your debut album have been called?
Oh, that is a great question. It would have either been something like "She's Blonde" or
So funny.
Or I don't even know. She's Blonde, or something a little bit. I've tried to be a bit punky about it, like my favorite color's orange. And that would be the song.
That's funky. Wow. Yeah.
How punky as I could get. The punkiest example.
Everything is just stating clear facts. She's blonde.
Favorite
I
color's
like orange. Water
also
is
a
clear.
long title.
Penn was doing cocaine when he was 12.
Yeah.
So this is
So-
he's like, what are you talking about?
I need more.
Break down those walls.
Tilly, we are going to move on from middle school, but before we do, we ask all of our guests what their first experiences around love and heartbreak were around that time.
Oh, yeah. Well, because I went to an all-girls school, so boys were a bit of a mystery. But I remember, so we used to have school discos from years 7 to 9, which I think is like the ages 11 to 14, 15. So like our middle school. And it was our opportunity to invite boys from the local schools, from the neighbouring schools, could buy tickets to come to our discos. And I was very excited. I had a crush on a boy from a neighbouring school, and I knew he was going to be there. And so I went out shopping with my mum, and I got a little dress from Topshop, which she had to get taken up because it was too long because I was so small. And I remember I had like a headband across my forehead, and I just thought I looked the bee's knees. And I was like, I'm going to pull tonight. And by pull, I mean he's probably going to hold my hand, or we're going to dance to a song. And I just felt really good getting there, and he walked in, and I was like, oh, he's just so dreamy, and he's so gorgeous. And then he had his first kiss with the most popular girl in school who didn't like me. And I think probably still doesn't like me now. And guess what? I still don't like her. It's funny how petty I can still be. And
That's maturity right there.
But you're famous, so.
Yeah, exactly.
am I? I can hear music.
That's
really-
your delusion. That's it's all coming back now. It's Queen, isn't it?
The angels are playing the harp.
This is it. This is how it all
It's
ends,
all a
Tilly.
dream sequence.
This is how it ends. See the light. So yeah, they had their first kiss, and I was like, oh no. And I had to text my mum and say, can you come and pick me up? But also like, who am I to sit there and think, yeah, he'll come to me?
Well, you were
sat back and
going
let it happen.
together, right?
We weren't going together. I just knew that we used to talk on MSN Messenger. And he said he was going to be there. And so I doled up for nothing.
Okay, so
But- and
so
that
you were
was-
passive. I'm not. It's like
Yeah, I was passive.
So
I'm
there
always
you
passive.
okay.
Just by
Still, that's
nature.
hard. That is hard.
Yeah, it was, it's that kind of, and then you start to compare and you think it's, it's all to do with me and how I look or how I am. And I could never be and she was the polar opposite to me. She was, taller, older, brunette. And I was just like, oh God,
Now we know why the debut album is
it's
She's
because
Blonde.
she's blonde.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
let
we
him
know. It makes sense.
Let him know. But yeah, it was quite kind of like my first crush and first heartbreak all kind of came together in one night. Anyway, so yes, they kissed. I was sat in the corner, absolutely fuming, and then I went home. And if that doesn't sound like a Friday night in the life of Tilly Keeper, I don't know what.
How long do you think it took you to get over it? Like how long do those feelings of, because it's not just anger, right? I mean, it's actually it's sort of humiliation and some sadness, right? How long do you think it lasted?
I think the humiliation probably lasted for about a week because I think people were aware as well, like, oh, Tilly had a crush on him and now he likes her and everything. But I think I probably then you're what, 12, 13, so they were together. And then when they split up, it sounds so dramatic. But, then they dated for a little bit and they would hang out together and go to parties together. And that was kind of hard. And then when they broke up, I was like, actually, I'm so beyond this. I don't want to be anyone's sloppy seconds, move on. But it was just that kind of shame as well that we had such a limited source of boys that it was kind of then, I'm never going to find one again. One that I really like, that likes talking to me. And of course, then you go out to the big wide world and you realize it's all different. Yeah. But it is that strange thing of like this microcosm of just being in an all-girls school that all your resources are so limited and someone's going to get in there first.
Yeah.
And
boys are like NFTs. Yeah.
Very confusing to talk about. Very hard to grasp.
And just simply non-fungible.
Tilly, I have this idea that most Americans are somewhat religious or spiritual, sort of most Americans believe in God, maybe changing, and that most Europeans, but I don't know where Brits fall in this, but that most Europeans are not, are sort of agnostic or atheists, maybe even judge that. And I was just curious, did your family have any kind of religious or spiritual belief set? And if not, do you think it's weird that so many Americans believe in God? I'm just curious.
I don't think it's weird. The way that religion and spirituality has kind of been framed in our family was, I think, my background is we're Irish, so it's Irish Catholic. I don't necessarily know a lot about the religion or agree with it. But religion and stuff like that was more of a source of comfort. My mum used to, when I couldn't sleep, she would like teach me a little prayer to say at night, and I think it was almost like meditation in a way. And also I think, I don't know whether this is common up and down the country, but the primary school I went to was a Methodist school, and so we went to chapel every Wednesday. I know one of my friends went to a sixth form, we had to go to chapel every Wednesday. So it is in some schools a focus. It's definitely there, but it's not necessarily something that I know my family was seeking out. We didn't go to church. But then some schools you have to go to church to get in, interestingly enough. So the way we framed it was always, well, the way that I view it now is that to me it's a source of comfort and grounding. And I think perhaps I'm a little bit agnostic. I like to think that there's a higher power and there's something that's guarding us and looking out for us, and that there's a plan and everything. But it's not something that I kind of look to live as a rule by, if that makes sense. But I definitely know the way we frame it is in times of need or distress, that you kind of just throw it out to whatever higher power, whether that's like a god or the universe just in general. And yeah, I think more our kind of thing was, it's about karma. Just we were taught, do good things and good
So you're
things will
Buddhist.
come back. Yeah.
Did you also speak Sanskrit? I just feel like there's a trend. There's so many languages.
You would not believe.
Ancient scrolls on your walls.
It's interesting, Tilly, that you say, you were telling that sweet story of how your mom, if you had trouble sleeping, your mom might teach you a little prayer to help you meditate. Actually, I've been reading this book called Breath by James Nestor.
I love that book.
That I am obsessed with. I can't stop thinking about it. And what's really interesting is he says that there's sort of this like optimal breathing rhythm, which is like 5.5 seconds in, I think, and 5.5 seconds out, which ends up meaning you take about 5.5 breaths a minute, something like that. And that most prayers across religions, across the world, will end up with that sort of breathing rhythm, like a lot of like Tibetan chants or Buddhist chants end up with that optimum breathing rhythm that helps you relax and like I think regulate your parasympathetic system.
There's so many things. I read that book when Domino was pregnant with our youngest, and that I couldn't stop breathing through my nose.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm actually having a hard time because anytime you vocalize, it's an exhale, and you can't breathe in through your nose at the same time as you're talking. And so I'm like, what am I going to do on this podcast?
Yeah, so you're overthinking.
'Cause I need to keep breathing through my nose.
It'll take you about a year to get through. I even did the sleep tape. I actually slept with tape on my mouth for a few months. I tried it out just to see, so I was only breathing through my nose because it regulates. But this 5.5 second thing I thought was really fascinating too, because what this guy's theory was building was that the intuitive understanding of the perfect breath that will regulate your body's systems, which I thought was pretty beautiful.
Yeah. I also think if you're focusing on your breathing and you're doing breath work, that inhale, like you say, when you talk, you're just exhaling, and so you're throwing it all out. But that inhale is about reflection and taking a moment and actually sitting with thought or just listening and receiving what someone's saying. And it's interesting because that's when I would say that little prayer to myself when I was a wee one. It's that thing of then I was relaxing and exhaling, and then I was just kind of lulling myself, and it's all about, that breath work. It's actually something that, because I have like I'm anxious about everything. And so often, but it's just that it is like meditation for me in a way, just focusing, grounding yourself, touching your environment and taking those deep breaths. But now I know it's 5.5 seconds in and 5.5 seconds out. I'm going to be as cool as a cucumber from now on.
Maybe we can talk about you, the show.
Yes.
Tilly, can you tell us a little bit how you got into professional acting, and then we'll talk about how you landed that show in particular.
So from the dance school that I went to, it had an agency attached. And so I think I had like my first audition when I was 7, maybe. So I had that agent throughout the ages of 7 until I was maybe 18 or 21. So I'd been auditioning throughout my school life, pretty unsuccessfully, which was, I think, in retrospect, was an amazing thing because it kind of taught me the realities of the industry and that you're not going to get every part you go up for. And, it's down to your height, it's down to, do you look like the person playing your parents?
Is she blonde?
All those. Is she blonde? Can we dye her hair? I say no. I will dye my hair, don't worry. And
anybody guessing? I'm not, just so you know.
Any casting directors out there?
Yeah. Would prefer a wig, but if you have to dye it, I'm okay with it. And then I was in 6th form, and everyone was applying to universities. And I was the youngest in my year, and I did feel like the youngest in my year. I didn't feel like I was ready to go into even further education by, going away for 3 years. And I just didn't want to commit to an academic subject when I knew I wanted to be an actress. And I felt like I could go to university and study drama, but then I'd still have to go to drama school. So I, much to the dismay of my teachers, said, I'm not going to apply for university. I'm going to take a year off and I'm going to audition. And while I audition, I'm going to apply for drama school. So hopefully I'll either get a job or I'll get into drama school, just keeping positive. And then a month after I left school, I booked a TV show. And I was on that for 3.5 years.
Wow.
So just really, just lucky, just the timing was perfect. The part, was right for me and all stuff like that. So then I was just kind of steadily employed as an actress for years, which is, such a blessing and unheard of. And then the pandemic happened and it all went quiet again. After I left the show, really good timing. And I'd worked with a casting director called Sophie Holland on a movie. And then I'd done that, I think, in the summer of 2021, I'd filmed that. I came home, I was auditioning for stuff, getting really close and then not getting it. And I was just like, this is a long old slog, it's just getting even harder now. And then the heavens opened up and Sophie emailed my agent and said, we've got an audition for Tilly for a part in You to play Lady Phoebe. And it was just like, oh.
You were a fan of You?
I was a massive fan. I have to say I wasn't. Penn knows this. Like, I was such a huge fan of the show. I just think the writing is so clever. And I love the dark comedy element. So, and I also really loved the part. The way I read, the character description and the audition sides, I was just like, this is such a fun character. And it's going to be so interesting to see how she interacts with someone like Joe. And so I was just so excited. And I think originally, I don't know, Penn, if you know this, but I think maybe the part was meant to be a little bit older because that was the one thing going against me was that they would have maybe wanted someone a bit older, but Sophie really championed me.
Yeah, because it is interesting. Kate is older and they're like best friends.
Yeah.
But
I think you just don't really address
You don't know the
Phoebe's
age.
age. Yeah. She's got like age-defying serums on and all stuff.
Exactly. It's all the filler and the Botox. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. If you notice, my face doesn't move.
Lady Phoebe is such a lovable character. I had said to Nava when we were watching it, I was like, you, Tilly, are going to be like the darling in everybody's world because Lady Phoebe is such a lovable character and you play her so lovably, so well.
Thank you.
But I do have to know, what is Penn like on set? What's he really like? We want like the goss.
on my own show.
She's like, what can I say?
What can I say without not getting blocked by Penn? Okay. Penn's lovely. Do you remember when we first met, Penn? But do you remember when we first met? No.
Well, no.
And that's fine.
I don't. No.
Let me
Never
tell
tell a lie.
Was it at
Never
a
tell a
table?
lie.
Yeah. No. Okay, great. So we met at my makeup test, and I couldn't turn around to look at you because my hair had been like hairsprayed back into some kind of do, and so it was a bit hard to turn my head to fully say hello.
Yeah.
And you weren't well. I remember that. You were a bit sick, and you said you just been coming out on the other side of a cold or something.
I think that was right when I got there, and so there was just a lot of different things. Yeah.
So we met there, and but you were lovely. This was the thing. You were lovely, and because, I'm quite blah 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 out there and chatty, and because you were ill, I was like, oh God, he's going to be really quiet, and he's not going to want to talk to me. And then that totally wasn't the case at all. You were just so lovely, and we were in the first scene together on the first day of filming, and he just made me feel really calm and really relaxed. Because it's nerve-wracking because I'm on a show that I've loved for so long with an actor that I think is so great, and I'm working with Lucas and Ed and Sean. So it was intimidating, but you gave me lots of encouragement on my first day, and then from then on, it was just really lovely. But also, I remember thinking, okay, I'm not going to drive this guy mad on the first day because we've got about 5 or 6 months left of this shoot, and I don't want him to think.
So you toned yourself down.
Yeah, I kind of had to bring it down.
I'm not sure you did. I think no.
Not enough for Penn.
No.
Well, I was in underwear. That was my first costume, was underwear and a dressing
that's right.
gown.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, with the robe and all that stuff. It was in what is it called? It's a hotel. The Four Seasons. Yeah, it was like this hotel room, this giant suite. Yeah, I do recall that was the first day for everybody. We had the whole cast more or less on set, and but you really had the bulk of the work. It was like you, Lucas, and then me, of course. But what people can hardly ever really appreciate is that I do so little talking. So yes, I'm doing a lot, but I'm not speaking. So it's like, so you had all this talking to do, and you have the being of Lady Phoebe, which and now that I'm remembering, I think I said this to you, maybe on that day, maybe later, but there's always at least one, if not a few, roles in each season where the line between camp and high camp and low camp, whatever that is. It's like high camp is great. High camp is actually a much needed relief from the intensity of a show like ours. Low camp is where, you're falling on your face. And I think Lady Phoebe's a hard character to play. Like she's, this close to a caricature sometimes. And that's the function she has to serve. That's the function. Actually, a lot of the characters this season do need to serve because they're meant to be just so awful. We need to have awful people to make Joe the hero. But you did. I mean, I think what I could see in that first day and what I might have told you was just that you were doing it masterfully, I thought.
Oh, yeah. No, you were very nice. I remember the first thing you said was, "You're quite good." And I was like, well, I'll take it. I'll take it. But and then you were very kind, and you were saying I didn't find her that hard to play, but maybe because
you're just like her.
Just like her.
Wait, Tilly, I have to tell you that's a huge compliment from Penn. I think the nicest thing he's ever said to me and Sophie was, "This was nice." That's the biggest compliment we've ever gotten from him. So
that's
quite
really
good
terrible.
Means he thinks you're phenomenal.
Yeah.
But also, it wasn't, you said it, and I remember I laughed like, oh God. And then you were totally nice, and you gave me loads of encouragement, and, we had a good chat about it. And then afterwards, but it did, yeah.
I'm going to go home and cry.
Good. And I was like, oh no, what about very good?
Penn has told us that he doesn't memorize his lines for rehearsals, though, on set. Did you experience that? Like, he'll just, be messing around?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Doing all your silly voices and all your silly dances. But,
Well, no, to be clear, I usually don't have lines. That's what
I
or I do, and it's like, No.
Exactly that.
Or it's
Because
sure.
Phoebe,
I'll go.
yeah,
Sure.
sounds great.
That's right.
Sounds
Completely
great. Yeah.
But I think as well, because the dynamic between Phoebe and Joe is that she's just ranting and raving at him and whinging at him, and he's just receiving it and in deep thought about it. That you didn't have a lot of lines in scenes with
No.
like our scenes.
Well, particularly your scenes. Your scenes. You really were doing a lot of talking, and I just had a lot of listening.
Really were.
No, she didn't write it. It's just the way it was.
And also because I decided that she should talk really quickly, I would then have to trip over my lines all the time because I wanted her to have this pace and this energy. But because I was getting up at like 5 o'clock in the morning, I didn't have that energy. So poor Penn would then have to just take after take of standing there listening to this girl go blah, 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 blah.
I wanted to ask, what was he like as a director?
Penn was probably my favorite director.
Aww.
And I'm not just saying that, but I think he has because you're an actor. And so you have this kind of dialogue and this language that if you gave a note, I could completely understand what you were saying. I don't know whether you'd agree. Maybe I didn't. Maybe you thought I didn't. But
no, I think so.
Just a lot of patience. And I mean, I think your episode's so great. I think it looks great. I think the pacing and everything. But yeah, and it's nice to work with someone that you also have like an established relationship with.
Yeah.
But I think that key of just the communication, because sometimes, directors, they're great, but the way they give notes is just, you have to kind of do some kind of mental arithmetic in your brain to let it work physically as well as mentally and all that stuff. And you just were very clear and concise and a lot of patience. And also it was like really fun because episode 9 is, I can say, right, it's the wedding.
Yeah.
And I was actually really nervous for those scenes because it's the peak of Phoebe's breakdown, but I'm really pleased that you were the one that got to direct me and all that. Because you were just, I didn't feel like there was any pressure from you to, hit the mark straight away.
Right. Yeah. I think what people don't quite realize about television and directing is that, you have several directors throughout the season, and because they're coming and going, they're under a lot of pressure to keep the show on the track that it's on, and so they are actually under an intense amount of pressure. They basically want to make sure they're not failing to meet the standard, and then where they can add their stamp. I mean, it really is like it's a more utilitarian job than it is in film. You still have, it is still directing, but it does exist in a sort of a different tier in television. It's the showrunners are really the executive producers. They're the ones who run the show and call the major shots. So the directors can just be so under the gun with time, even that they, struggle to talk to the actors, which at the end of the day is what you have the least time for when all is said and done. I mean, especially if you recall with my episode, like at this point we were so behind schedule in the whole season that I remember, we would do sometimes 2 or 3 takes, and it would be expressed to me later that like, I'm sort of pushing it, getting that much
day done.
Well, no, that I was like taking almost a little bit too much time with the actors, which I see from that perspective how that was true, but that's missing the point that like, guys, I'm actually taking the bare minimum here. I'm actually like we were not doing excessive takes in my memory or in my experience.
But also the fact that we didn't do too many takes didn't bother me because I trusted that you weren't going to let me go on camera looking like an idiot. Because you want the whole episode to look great, and so it's not just you had the whole vision of it all, and you cared about us. So it was a nice dynamic to explore.
Tilly, another question about your character, about Lady Phoebe. As I said, I loved her and I wanted to protect her, and she has a lot of faith in Jonathan. And I wonder, do you think that's because she's naive, or do you think she just sees the best in people? What's kind of your take?
I think it's a mix of both. I think it's that she sees the best in people and that's her best quality. But also she's very naive, and I think it's actually something I've been thinking about a lot now the show's come out and we've been doing press about it, how important her upbringing is. And it's something that Sarah Gamble discussed with me quite a bit, is that she doesn't have a lot of guidance in her life, and she wasn't shown a way to be a loving, she didn't have a great example of what it was to be loved and to have care. And so I think, when Joe shows up, and even though he's not interested, but it's like a new person that she can just throw all this love on and, get some validation out of. And I think because he does show her kindness, it's this thing of then she wants to latch onto him. And I kind of compare it to like an older brother, little sister relationship, that he does protect her and he is there when she's in times of need. And she can rely on him, because apart from Kate, there's really no one else she can fully trust, because Adam's proven time and time again that he's just no good for her, but even though she doesn't want to believe it. And she thinks Jonathan's older and wiser and has a beard, and that normally signifies that you have wisdom and life experience.
What do you think that Joe said to Phoebe? That thing, right? I feel like you had some funny
Penn, can
ideas.
you contextualize this question for listeners who might not know off the bat?
Well, come on, listeners. You come. Yeah. So what is it in the first or two episodes? There's this night that sends really the whole season off, where Joe, as Professor Jonathan Moore, has a like an absinthe fueled blackout night. And in this night, many very significant events happen that unroll for the duration of the season. One of the things is that he says something to Lady Phoebe that has endeared him to her. So she now trusts him implicitly, because he said something that just absolutely blew her away, seemed to change her perspective on things. And throughout the whole season, you're waiting to see if you're going to find out what he said. I really wanted to hear something. I wanted to see the monster, that was one reveal the whole season that I wanted maybe more than anything else. And we never got it. What do you think he said? Do you have any quips?
I have a lot of theories. I think it could have been as trivial as...
She's blonde.
You're so pretty.
Yeah, right.
Like when you meet a girl in the bathroom of a bar and you're really drunk and she's like, oh my God, I love your outfit. And you're like, babe, oh my God, that lipstick is the best color I've ever seen. And then you swap numbers and she's invited to your family's Christmas. It's either something as trivial as that. I had a theory that it was something along the lines of, that thing of, you seem like a great person. Why are you hanging out with all these people? And Charlotte actually had a really good theory about it. And now I wish he kind of told me it when we were filming, and then it could have changed the trajectory of my performance. She said that her thoughts were that Jonathan had said, does all this make you happy? Which I think then, from the fallout of the series and where we find Phoebe, I think that is like the perfect thing that he could have said. I think it was more of he encouraged her to reflect upon where she's at. Unfortunately, she doesn't act on it till much later when all the death and distractions happened. But I think it was either something along the lines of, you seem like a great person. Why are you doing all this? Why are you performing for all these people? Does this make you feel happy? Or that dress looks amazing on you. Babes. All he said was, babe. And she went, babe. And that was it.
I like that.
Tilly, we're so sad to have to wrap this up because you're so lovely and charming, and I feel like we could have talked to you for another hour. But we do have a final question that we ask every guest. So we're going to go back to middle school. We want to know, Tilly, if you could have a conversation with 12, 13-year-old Tilly, what would you say to her?
I would say, you're going to get braces. They're not going to look nice. but stick with it because then you're going to have really nice teeth. But it's going to be a journey. Brace yourself, quite literally, pardon the pun. And I would also say, on a serious note, tell your parents thank you for everything they've done for you so far and what they will do for you, because you don't even know how much they love you and how much they're willing to give of their time and money and energy and love. So I would say, listen here, 12-year-old Tilly, say thank you. Don't be so ungrateful.
Love that, Tilly.
That's really touching.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for coming by,
Thank
Tilly.
So
you,
lovely to
guys.
talk to you.
Thank you for having me. I'm so honoured. Podcrushed.
Also, if you could just cover the entire room with a layer of foam, would be great. Just for
go to a
acoustics.
recording
It's
studio.
simple.
Yeah, we're all in a hot sweat in this room.
Where are you?
Don't say. I'm in my publicist's office. Thank God this wasn't happening at home. Can you imagine? I'd be in my living room just in such a state. I really don't do well with technology.
Yeah.